Today we are going to start our stage 2, because in our stage 1 we have described in detail about the asphalt binder. Now over here, this hard mix asphalt, basically the combination of aggregate plus binder. This binder we have studied well in stage 1. Now in this series of lecture we will study about the aggregate. Rough estimate, it is considered that 95% weight by mix is aggregate. Keep this thing in mind. As a rough estimate, 95% weight by mix is the aggregate in hard mix part. Now this aggregate plays a vital role for the life of the road. Means all the weight has to be sustained by the aggregate. Now this aggregate quality and the characteristics plays a very important role for the better performance of hard mix asphalt or for the better performance of our road. When we say that for the better performance of the road, these aggregate quality and the characteristics play a very vital role. So here keep this thing in mind, because we are developing Superpave Mix Design. In this Superpave Mix Design, some criteria is set. If that criteria is being implemented, or if this criteria is being verified, then these aggregates are going to prolong for the longer period of time. That's why it is said that in the Superpave Mix Design regarding aggregate, asphalt experts when I use the word asphalt experts, it means the team who has developed this mix design, SHRP. They have reached to the conclusion that there are certain properties which aggregates are supposed to fulfill. And those properties are known as consensus properties, B. Second one, after passing through this consensus properties, let me tell you in detail that when these consensus properties have been fulfilled, then we are going to the second property that is known as the source properties. Clear it? These are the two properties which aggregate has to possess. Aggregates have to satisfy them. If these properties are satisfied, then material is considered as very much suitable for the development of hard mix asphalt. Now, first of all, I would like to explain the first property that is known as the consensus property. Consensus property. This property is considered as very vital Let me repeat it again. This property is considered as very, very much vital and important for the development of hot mix asphalt using Superpave. Now this consensus property is further divided into subgroups known as aggregate, angularity, first one, second one, fine aggregate, angularity, third one, clay content, or sand equivalent. And the last property of this group is known as flat and elongated particle. Now, as we have written these four properties and Superpave Mix Design has set their values. Let me repeat it again. As this is a group of four properties which aggregates needs to satisfy, when we use the word aggregates need to satisfy, it means certain value is defined for the property. How this value is defined? Let me tell you. In order to satisfy these properties, we will have to consider two parameters in mind. That where we are going to make this road, what is the traffic level? As I have already explained to you, there are 5 levels. B. Position of the aggregate within pavement structure. When I will consider these 2 points, the traffic level and the position of the aggregate within the pavement structure, here I would like to tell you, if your aggregates is coming at far bottom, it is having some different value. When the aggregate is coming at the top surface, which is going to bear the load directly, there will be some other characteristics. So that is why this position is divided into 2 sections. Either its thickness is less than equal to 100 mm or it is greater than 100 mm. Let me explain it. Okay, what do you mean by less than 100 and what do you mean by greater than 100? It means our layer thickness is within this range, then aggregate will have some different value. If your aggregates are within this range where the depth is more than 100 mm, it will be having the different value. But as per the traffic level is 5, like low, medium, heavy and very heavy. But here I will give you one example that right from the beginning I was explaining to you that we are going to design hot mix asphalt for wheeling course. Please keep this in mind. My example say we are going to develop hard mix expert by the Superpave method for the wearing course. And this wearing course is 40 mm thickness and it is less than 100. One condition which over here. It means here the aggregate whatsoever will be used, it will be having some hot properties. First parameter is clear regarding this one. Now the traffic level. As I had already explained to you, we are going to make this road for the traffic level having 30 million. So it is heavy, H. So both these things have been defined over here. Traffic is heavy and our layer is a wearing course having the 40 mm thick. Then according to our these two values, what Superpave specifications say? Okay, what should be the value of coarse aggregate angularity? What should be the value of fine aggregate angularity? What will be the value of sand equivalent? And what will be the value of our flat and elongated particle? After defining these two parameters, let me make the table for these values. First of all, coarse aggregate angularity CAA. Fine aggregate angularity, second property. Sand equivalent, flat and elongated particle. For our specified road, like wearing course of layer thickness 40 mm, for heavy traffic, specification say coarse aggregate angularity should be 95 to 90% crushed. Here fine aggregate angularity say minimum value should be 45% uncompacted white content. Uncompacted white content or fine aggregate. Minimum value should be this one. So this is also minimum and this is also minimum. Sand equivalent, it means that this should not be any too much more amount of the dust one, and its value has also been specified. Minimum value is required this one. At the last, this flat and elongated particle, it should not be more than 10%. So it means this is the maximum value. So let me tell you again, whatever the four properties related to the consensus property we have studied, if we will tabulate their value for the wearing course of 40 mm, for the heavy traffic, and this value has been defined in the Superpave specification regarding the use of the aggregate. Now these are the values, and in coming lectures I will try to find out the value of coarse aggregate angularity. Then I will see whether my value is satisfying the criteria or not. So this was a brief introduction. Thank you for seeing this.